Pawn Stars guest brings a cigar box owned by JFK, and Rick Harrison was ready to pay a fortune. In the heart of Las Vegas, nestled among flashing lights and the constant hum of tourists, sits one of the most recognizable pawn shops in the world, the world-famous gold and silver pawn shop. It's not just a place to hawk your gold chains or old electronics. It's a museum of Americana, a treasure trove of forgotten relics, and the setting for one of television's most enduring reality shows. Pawn Stars *. Over the years, the show has brought viewers face-to-face with everything from rare coins to vintage guitars, Civil War swords to Hollywood memorabilia. But few items have captured the attention of the team quite like a simple wooden box, one allegedly owned by none other than President John F. Kennedy. When a man walked through the doors of the shop carrying what appeared to be an unassuming cigar box, no one could have predicted the historical significance it might hold. The guest, a soft-spoken collector, claimed the box had once belonged to President John F. Kennedy himself. At first glance, it looked like nothing more than a modest wooden container used to store cigars, but the details told a different story. Etched into the lid was the presidential seal, and inside were initials, JFK, carved with precision. If authentic, this was more than just a cigar box. It was a piece of American history. Rick Harrison, the sharp-eyed owner of the shop and the de facto historian when it came to valuable oddities, leaned in for a closer look. His son, Corey Big Hoss Harrison, peered over his shoulder, equally intrigued. Chumley, the often clueless but always entertaining employee, hovered nearby, trying to make sense of the situation. "Is this real?" Chumley asked, squinting at the box as if that would help him decipher its authenticity. Rick chuckled. "That's what we're here to find out." The guest explained that the box had been passed down through his family. According to him, it was given to his grandfather by a Secret Service agent who worked during Kennedy's presidency. Whether that part of the story was true remained to be seen, but the box itself was intriguing enough to warrant further investigation. Rick knew that Kennedy memorabilia was highly collectible. Anything associated with the 35th president commanded top dollar, especially in today's market where nostalgia for the Camelot era runs deep. But before he could even begin to consider a price, he needed confirmation. And for that, there was only one person he trusted, the go-to expert on all things historical, the old man, also known as Richard Benjamin Harrison. The elder Harrison, though retired from day-to-day operations, still made appearances whenever something truly special came through the door. Rick placed a call, and within the hour, the old man arrived, cane in hand, eyes twinkling with curiosity. After inspecting the box, he nodded approvingly. "This looks genuine," he said. "Kennedy smoked cigars, and these kinds of boxes were common back then. The carving is consistent with the period, and the seal looks official." Still, they needed more than just a gut feeling. Rick reached out to a historical authentication expert, someone who specialized in presidential artifacts. Within days, the results were in. Carbon dating, seal analysis, and handwriting comparisons all pointed toward the same conclusion. This was indeed a cigar box that had once belonged to President Kennedy. Now the question became how much it was worth. Rick gathered the team in the back office, the cigar box resting on the table between them like a sacred object. He flipped open his laptop and began searching recent auction sales for comparable items. Letters signed by Kennedy routinely sold for tens of thousands of dollars. Photographs with personal inscriptions fetched even more. But a personal item like this, something that had been in his possession, touched by his hands, was extremely rare. "I think we're looking at anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000, Rick said, his voice calm but tinged with excitement. Chumley nearly choked on his soda. 100 grand for a box. It's not just a box, Rick replied. It's a piece of history. Corey chimed in. We've got collectors who would kill for something like this. We'd be doing them a favor selling it to them. Rick turned to the guest, who had been quietly listening throughout the conversation. I'll offer you $75,000 for it, he said. But I want you to know, this is a fair deal. If you take it to auction, you might get more. If it doesn't sell, you might get less. The guest considered the offer carefully. He wasn't a professional seller. He didn't come to the pawn shop expecting to walk away with a small fortune. He had simply wanted to know what the box was worth, and now he did. I'll take the $75,000, he said finally. Rick extended his hand. You've got yourself a deal. As the paperwork was signed and the money exchanged, the team couldn't help but marvel at what had just taken place. In a city built on fantasy and illusion, they had uncovered something real, something tangible from a moment in time that still resonates with Americans decades later. The legacy of JFK memorabilia. John F. Kennedy remains one of the most iconic figures in American history. His presidency, though tragically short, left an indelible mark on the nation. From his charismatic speeches to his leadership during the Cuban Missile Crisis, Kennedy represented hope, youth, and progress. Even after his assassination in Dallas in 1963, his legacy continued to grow. Books, documentaries, and conspiracy theories have kept his memory alive, and so too has the market for anything connected to him. Presidential memorabilia is big business. Items belonging to U.S. presidents are among the most sought-after collectibles in the world. Lincoln's pocket watch, Washington's sword, and Obama's basketball shoes. Each tells a story, and each has value far beyond its material worth. For collectors, owning a piece of presidential history is like holding a fragment of the American dream. It's a way to connect with the past, to feel closer to the leaders who shaped the country. And in the case of JFK, whose presidency was cut short, every artifact becomes even more precious. Cigars, in particular, played a significant role in Kennedy's life. Known for his love of smoking, he was famously photographed with a cigar in hand, exuding confidence and charm. However, his health issues, including chronic back pain and Addison's disease, eventually led him to cut back. Still, the image of Kennedy with a cigar remains one of the most enduring symbols of his time in office. So when a cigar box bearing his initials surfaced, it was no surprise that experts and collectors alike would be interested. What made this particular box unique was its provenance, the documented chain of ownership that traced it back to Kennedy's inner circle. While many items surface claiming to be connected to famous people, few can withstand the scrutiny of historical verification. This one did. The business of history. Rick Harrison has built a career on recognizing the value of the past. Whether it's a rare coin, a vintage car, or a signed baseball card, he understands that objects carry weight beyond their physical form. They represent moments, memories, and movements. And when those objects are tied to major historical figures, their worth increases exponentially. But dealing in history isn't without its challenges. Authentication is key. Without proper verification, even the most impressive item can turn out to be worthless. That's why Rick always takes the time to consult experts and conduct thorough research before making an offer. It's not just about protecting the shop, it's about preserving history itself. In the case of the JFK cigar box, the process was relatively straightforward. The physical characteristics matched known examples from the period, and the documentation provided by the guest helped establish a credible chain of custody. Still, Rick knew better than to jump to conclusions. He treated every item with caution and respect, knowing that a single misstep could cost both money and credibility. Once the purchase was finalized, the next step was marketing. Rick immediately contacted several high-end collectors and dealers specializing in presidential memorabilia. Word spread quickly. Interest was strong. Within weeks, offers started coming in. Ultimately, the cigar box sold for $92,000, well above Rick's initial offer and a testament to the demand for Kennedy-related items. The buyer, a private collector from New York, promised to display the box in a dedicated exhibit alongside other pieces of mid-century political